The quarterback pressure percentage is an alarming 42.5%, ranking 31st and second worst overall, while the sack rate is 9.5%, ranking 28th, with 60 total sacks allowed. The one major positive in the passing game is yards after catch over expected at plus 299, which ranks 6th. From a position group perspective, this leads to a very clean inference. First, wide receivers and tight ends are not creating consistent separation. A separation figure as low as 3.2 yards strongly points to a route-winning problem at the wide receiver and tight end positions, or a need for more schematic separation through stacks, bunches, motion, and rub concepts. Second, pass protection is failing at a near worst rate in the league. A quarterback pressure percentage over 42% is extreme, and it is not being driven by unusually high blitz rates, as the offense faced a blitz on only 31.0% of dropbacks. That strongly implicates offensive line pass protection and/or protection structure as a core weakness. Together, these two issues explain the negative expected points added per pass, the high volume of negative plays driven by sacks, and the inefficiency of shotgun dropback passing despite the success of shotgun runs. In short, pass protection is a weakness, separation is a weakness, and the interaction between the two compounds the problem. There is, however, one important skill group positive embedded within the passing game, ranking 6th in yards. After catch over expected indicates that when passes are completed, wide receivers and running backs are generating additional yards, despite defenders being close. This reflects real ability after the catch and effective use of space concepts such as screens and quick throws. The limiting factor is not what happens after the catch, but rather the offense's inability to consistently create separation before the catch, while keeping the quarterback clean long enough to deliver the ball. The clearest position group signal from your files is that the run game is a relative strength, especially when operating out of spread and shotgun looks. According to Next Gen Stats rushing metrics, the offense ranks 5th in expected points, added per rush at plus 0.0D01, 7th in rushing yards over, expected per attempt at plus 0.D6, and 9th in yards before contact over expected per attempt at 1.54, which is a strong signal of effective run blocking and space creation. The overall rushing success rate sits at 41.8%, which is closer to league average at 18th. When isolating shotgun formations using your team offense shotgun file, the strength becomes even clearer. Shotgun rushing expected points, added jumps to plus 0.15, 2nd in the league, and shotgun rushing yards per play rises to 5.9, 3rd in the league. Taken together, this strongly suggests that the offensive line and run design are legitimately effective when the offense is spaced out, with wider surfaces and cleaner run fits created by shotgun alignments. This aligns cleanly with your earlier formation and personnel conclusions, particularly that 3x1 formations are your most effective high-volume looks, and that 3 or more wide receiver personnel groupings function adequately, while heavier personnel packages tend to collapse. In simple terms, run blocking in space is a clear strength, and the offense consistently generates more yards than expected on the ground. In contrast, the pass game is the primary drag on the offense, and it is driven by a two-factor problem: lack of separation and poor pass protection. Next-gen stats passing metrics show an expected points added per pass of minus 0.10, which ranks 24th in the league. Average receiver separation is just 3.2 yards, tied for 27th and effectively bottom-tier league-wide. The alignment splits provide an important window into how the offensive line, quarterback, and tight end groups are functioning together. Shotgun formations are clearly where the run game excels, but they are also where the dropback pass game breaks down most severely. In shotgun, the offense ranks 2nd in the league in rushing expected points added and 3rd in rushing yards per play, confirming that spacing, angles, scheme, and defensive line athleticism all work well in this environment. However, passing efficiency from shotgun tells the opposite story. Expected points added per pass drops to minus 0.14, ranking 24th, while the quarterback pressure percentage in shotgun remains extremely high at 43.0%, ranking 31st in the league. Because the majority of the offense's passing attempts occur from shotgun, this alignment exposes the protection and separation problems more consistently than any other. In contrast, under center alignments flip the profile, passing efficiency improves meaningfully, with expected points added per pass rising to plus 0.D06, ranking 18th and moving into slightly positive territory. The run game, however, deteriorates sharply. Under center, rushing expected points added falls to minus 0.09, ranking 20th, while rushing yards per play drops to 3.5, ranking 28th and placing the offense near the bottom of the league. When comparing the same team across alignments, the The Chargers show the 8th largest improvement in passing expected points added when shifting from shotgun to under center, a positive swing of plus Z20. At the same time, they experienced the 2nd worst decline in rushing expected points added when moving under center, a negative swing of minus 0.24. From a position group standpoint, this strongly suggests that the quarterback and passing structure function more effectively in under center environments. These looks often feature play action, defined reads, and clearer timing, which help mitigate protection stress and reduce the burden on receivers to win immediately. Conversely, the offensive line and tight end run ecosystem struggles when the offense is condensed. Traditional under-center runs, which often involve heavier personnel and expected run tendencies, expose weaknesses at the point of attack rather than allowing linemen to work in space. In simple terms, the quarterback can be efficient when the pass game is structured and sequenced, particularly off play action, but the offense struggles when asked to line up under center and impose a power run identity. This interpretation cleanly aligns with your formation and personnel results, where heavier groupings such as 21, 22, and 12 personnel are consistently negative, especially in the run game, and condensed formations like 1x2, 2x1, and 1x1 show poor rushing efficiency. The data points to an offense that succeeds when it creates space and structure, and falters when it attempts to win with condensed physical execution. The red zone data confirms that the offense's weaknesses bite hardest when space is compressed. In the red zone, overall expected points added per play drops to minus 0.10, ranking 21st in the league. Passing efficiency remains negative, with expected points added per pass at minus 0.14, ranking 19th, while rushing expected points added sits at minus 0.05, ranking 21st. Perhaps most telling, time to throw balloons to 3.19 seconds, which ranks 31st and is the slowest in the league, while the pressure rate remains extremely high at 42.6%, ranking 28th. From a position group perspective, this profile is exactly what you would expect from an offense with low separation and high pressure. The red zone compresses space, which places an even greater premium on receivers and tight ends winning quickly at the line of scrimmage. Your separation profile is already poor in open field situations, and those problems are magnified near the goal line. At the same time, protection issues do not disappear, and the unusually long time to throw in the red zone is typically a symptom of nobody separating quickly, the quarterback being forced to search longer for viable targets, and passing concepts that take too long to develop in a condensed field. This also reinforces the conclusion that heavier packages built around tight ends and running backs are not generating a meaningful physical advantage near the goal line. Stepping back, the red zone performance helps clarify the broader strengths and weaknesses of each position group. The offensive line shows clear strength indicators in run blocking when operating in space. Shotgun rushing expected points added ranks 2nd in the league. Yards before contact over expected per attempt ranks 9th, and rushing yards over expected per attempt ranks 7th. These numbers consistently point to effective movement, angles, and spacing-based run execution. However, the weaknesses are just as clear. Pass protection is a major liability, with the pressure rate ranking 31st and the sack rate ranking 28th. Additionally, condensed and under center run execution is poor, with under center rushing yards per play ranking 28th and a high frequency of stuffed runs. Overall, the offensive line profile looks far better when moving and working in space than when asked to hold up in true dropback protection or win at the point of attack in condensed power run situations. The wide receiver and tight end group, viewed together as a separation unit, shows a similar contrast. The primary strength is yards after catch creation, with yards after catch over expected ranking 6th in the league. When the ball is completed, these players are consistently generating extra yards despite defenders being nearby. The weakness, however, is foundational. Average separation sits at 3.2 yards, tied for the lowest group in the league. That lack of separation directly connects to the high volume of pressures and sacks, and to the consistently negative expected points added on dropback passes, particularly from shotgun. In short, the skill group looks far more effective with the ball in hand than at getting open in the first place, which places unsustainable stress on both the quarterback and the offensive line. The tight end position stands out most clearly when viewed through a role-based lens rather than raw production. Combining your earlier personnel findings, particularly the inefficiency of 12, 21, and 22 personnel groupings, with the alignment and red zone data paints a consistent picture. Heavy and condensed run environments are inefficient across the board, as shown by poor under-center rushing efficiency, a high rate of stuffed runs, and negative red zone rushing performance. At the same time, under-center passing performs relatively better, which typically reflects the value of play action and constraint concepts rather than dominant inline blocking. This usually indicates that tight end value is not materializing as a run game force multiplier through edge blocking, ceiling, or point of attack strength. Instead, tight ends may still provide utility as play action targets, flat or leak options, and constraint pieces, but they are not supporting the foundation of efficient heavy football. In short, the tight end group does not appear to be tilting the run game in its favor when the offense condenses. The quarterback position is clarified by context rather than directly judged by the files. Overall passing efficiency is poor, with expected points added per pass ranking 24th in the league, but the surrounding conditions are severe. The quarterback is operating with very low receiver separation, a near worst pressure rate, and a high sack rate. Importantly, passing efficiency improves meaningfully when the offense goes under center rather than operating from shotgun, and your offense shows one of the larger under center over shotgun improvements in passing expected points added. This strongly suggests that the quarterback and passing structure function better in environments that emphasize play action, defined reads, and timing. Conversely, pure shotgun dropback passing is being overwhelmed by the combined effects of poor separation and failing pass protection. The data points toward an environment problem more than a quarterback ceiling problem. The running back position appears least responsible for the offense's inefficiencies. Overall rushing efficiency is strong, with expected points added per rush ranking 5th, and rushing yards over, expected per attempt ranking 7th. At the same time, the offense faces stacked boxes at the 4th highest rate in the league and experiences stuffed runs at the 6th highest rate. This combination indicates that the run game becomes volatile when it is predictable or condensed, rather than failing because of running back performance. When the offense is spaced and the run game is less telegraphed, running backs consistently produce efficient results. In effect, the running backs are not the limiting factor. The structure around them determines whether the run game is efficient or boom or bust.